I'm Keith Barry, and this is the Consumer Reports review of the Acura ADX subcompact SUV. Now, the ADX is an all-new model from Acura. It's Acura's entry-level SUV, and if you take a look at it, you can see there is a distinct family resemblance to the Honda HR-V. That's because Acura is Honda's higher-end brand, and the ADX is a higher-end version of the HR-V. There are some key differences. Aside from this, more prominent grille here, you also have a peppier engine and a slightly nicer interior. Whether the price bump, which is significant, is worth it for you to upgrade from a Honda to an Acura, it's up to you to decide, but we're here to help. We bought a 2025 Acura ADX all-wheel drive with the mid-range A-Spec trim. The starting MSRP is $35,000. Our A-Spec trim added $3,000. All-wheel drive added $2,000 with a destination fee of $1,350. That brought our total cost to $41,350. Final assembly was in Guanajuato, Mexico. Every Acura ADX comes with a 190 horsepower, 1.5-liter direct injection turbo 4-cylinder engine, similar to the one you'd find in the Honda Civic Si, and a continuously variable transmission. So from the side, you can really tell that this is sort of a grown-up version of the HR-V. But you get these little extras. So our A-Spec trim brings these kind of gray wheels, the black trim, but also the Acura has a very different front end. So you have this more kind of bird of prey-like aggressive-looking grille, and this immediately sets the car apart. This car kind of means business. It's a little sportier, and we'll talk a little later about what's under this more sculpted hood. Around the back, you have the same cargo opening as the HR-V. It's obvious that it's an Acura, but it's also obvious where it came from. It kind of feels like the old days with General Motors where they'd put a Landau roof on a Chevy and call it an Oldsmobile. It feels almost like a slightly higher trim level HR-V, and that's even more apparent when you get inside the car. One thing that hasn't changed from the HR-V is that it's very easy to get in and out of the ADX. It's a very good driving position, but there is a big problem. Are the front seats, which in our A-Spec trim are not very comfortable. They lose support on a long drive. After about 30 minutes, you'll start to feel kind of numb. There are power seats, as you'd expect in a $41,000 car, but there's no lumbar adjustment, which is really surprising in a car that costs this much. If you're gonna look into upgrading to the Acura, you should probably take an extended test drive. Otherwise, the interior feels almost exactly like an HR-V with some better accents on it. There's some stitching, there's some suede trim. There's nothing that feels particularly special about it. It just feels a little more luxurious than the Honda. Maybe the best thing about the ADX is the controls and the interior layout. This is the kind of car where if you haven't been in a car since 1982, you could step into this and know exactly where everything is. It's laid out incredibly well. You've got big buttons for climate control. You have temperature controls here. They have a nice click to them. It turns red as you turn to the right. It turns blue as you make it colder. So you can, at a glance, immediately see what's going on. The fan control, same thing, right there in the middle. There's separate displays for the temperature. The heated and cooled seats, they have their own buttons. So often we see them hidden away in a screen somewhere and you have to root around. Everything on this climate control screen is controllable by touch. You don't have to take your eyes off the road. The same goes for, you have a traditional gear selector right here. You have steering wheel controls that are distinguishable by feel. The volume is a lever, other buttons are rockers, other ones are knobs. It's just slightly different. And then you have this screen. It's on the small side. If you stepped up to a higher trim level, you would get a larger screen that's powered by Google. We actually really like this setup. You have a volume knob right here, which also has nice clicks and detents. You have a dedicated physical button to get to the home screen. And you also have a dedicated physical button that if you press connect, this physical connect button, you can get to the menu to connect a phone. This is an incredible solution. It's incredibly basic, except It doesn't feel like it's something out of the past. It still has Apple CarPlay, you have Android Auto, you have all the features you would expect in a car that costs $41,000, but you don't have any gimmicks, controls you can use. That's kind of the best thing about this car. We just wish that the seats were better. Now, getting into the back seat isn't as easy as getting into the front, but it still isn't that bad. And you've got a decent amount of legroom, although there's not too much room for your toes underneath the front seat. The seats are fairly comfortable. Further back, the cargo area is very deep for a car this size, although it is a bit narrow. One of the best things about the ADX are 1.5-liter Turbo 4 engine. It's a version of the same one that's in the Honda Civic Si, which is a great sporty car that we love. And indeed, it does give the ADX a little more pep in its step. One omission, however, is that there is no hybrid powertrain available. The EPA estimates that overall, the ADX will get 27 miles a gallon. Now this is gonna slam loud. There we go. And now driving impressions. Now the thing about Acura is that their cars tend to be a little on the sporty side. The ADX, you know, we wouldn't call it sporty. We would call it lively. It's certainly more engaging to drive than the HR-V that it's based on. That 1.5-liter turbo is definitely a benefit to the car, but paired with a continuously variable transmission, you get some of the common CVT complaints. You can hear that bit of a drone from the CVT as you accelerate. We wish there was a tad more sound deadening material to keep that from coming into the cabin. The steering feel is fairly neutral, but the car itself is compliant. Not a lot of body roll, not a lot of lean in corners, but it doesn't feel like a sports car. If you were hoping for an Integra that is like an SUV, this isn't quite that. One neat thing about the ADX is that it has a start-stop system that turns off the engine at stoplights to save fuel. And unlike some cars where they chug to life and they shudder when they turn off, Acura's is extremely unobtrusive. Take your foot off the brake, starts right up, and you're ready to go. Visibility is as expected in this class. The rear end is a little bit pinched, so you have less of a view in the rear 3/4 of the car, but overall the windows are pretty good size. You get decent visibility, and you know what you can't see, the blind spot warning and the rear view camera make up for it. The suspension does a very good job on smoother roads, keeping those little imperfections from getting into the cabin. But we did notice that some bigger bumps like highway expansion joints and potholes can unsettle the car just a little bit. The ADX comes standard with a ton of advanced driving assistance and active safety features. Acura calls them Acura Watch, and they include automatic emergency braking with pedestrian detection, blind spot warning, lane keeping assistance, lane centering, and adaptive cruise control with traffic jam assistance. Now these features are all great, but if you're looking to upgrade from the Honda, just remember that you can get most of the same useful ones on the HR-V. Ultimately, a lot of our opinions on the ADX come down to value. At $35,000 for a starting price, it's a bit of a treat-yourself car. You can get an Acura badge, a little nicer interior than a Honda, an extra year's warranty over the Honda HR-V, and a peppier engine. But once you start adding things like, you know, these nice-looking wheels, the panoramic moonroof, all-wheel drive, and you get up to $41,000, well, it becomes a little bit of a different equation. Ultimately, the ADX is a bit of an in-betweener in terms of size, in terms of where it fits. Not quite luxury, not quite mainstream. It's not quite subcompact car, but it's not quite an SUV. It's gonna come down to your own opinions whether or not it meets your needs and whether you think it's worth the extra money to spend on it. But before you make that choice, we recommend you spend a little time in that front seat. We've got a lot more to say about the ADX, including our full test results. Head to cr.org to learn more about this car and other subcompact and luxury SUVs.